going on, guys? As you can see, this has been a joyous weekend. It's been a lot of freaking winning for Donald Trump and his supporters. And I feel like, especially Trump, really has freaking earned this. Okay, he's earned this respect and accolades. Now, Joe Biden, for whatever reason, he has not showed up to this game during his tenure as presidency, whereas Trump has shown up when he was president before. He's showing up now.
President-elect Trump is set to attend the highly anticipated Army-Navy game today.
President-elect Trump went to several of the games during his first presidency, but Biden has yet to attend a game as commander-in-chief, and it's unclear if President Biden will be here today.
Now, unfortunately, you know, the freaking Army got cooked by the Navy here, 31-13. It was pretty brutal.
Throw is wide open, complete to the guy Gary's been calling for. Hiding right down the sideline. This will be a touchdown. That'll be the last one. And here comes a joyous group of midshipmen to midfield.
But that aside, it was a glorious celebration celebrated by many. You had a freaking all-star roster. Okay, you had the freaking Avengers assembling. Okay, you had the A-team. Okay, these are a lot of people that are military. Even Trump is technically military academy at one point in his life as well. You had Tulsi Gabbard. You had RFK Jr., Ron DeSantis, Elon Musk. They even brought Daniel Penny up in there. I'll talk about him a little bit more later. But here's a couple clips of all of these folks. They had pretty much everybody. That's only a few people. I think Mike Johnson, Hegseth, and more.
We love our Navy, except today.
Yeah. Go Army, beat Navy.
Go Army, beat Navy.
Contest between Army and Navy. This tradition reflects not just the spirit of competition, but the enduring ideals of our nation of selfless service, sacrifice, and commitment. And we stand in awe of these cadets and midshipmen who are willing to lay down their lives for every spectator in the stands.
Now, you know, the fake news loves to ruin Trump's good time, especially along with his supporters, because the fact that Daniel Penny was there really set them off. They're triggered by this. The fact that Daniel Penny, you know, again, as a reminder for those who don't know, he was a guy who had the chokehold against Jordan Neely on the subway out there in New York. So, you know, they're tripping because it's white man kills black man. Now, I hate to break it to people, but in the real world out here, it goes both ways all the time. There's black people killing white people. There's white people killing black people. It really doesn't matter in this case. It really should just come down to crazy person was acting crazy, threatening to kill others. Sane person saved the day, and the people on the train were thanking him. Nobody was like, oh, I didn't like what this guy did. Everybody was thanking him. So it's crazy that we have this ridiculous narrative, and they're trying to literally paint this dude who was mentally ill as some sort of victim, whereas Penny is some sort of supervillain or some sort of racist or white supremacist. Fake news media narratives are just totally out of control.
To sort of take Daniel Penny, take him to the Army-Navy football game, and put him up as a hero on a national level, how problematic do you see that as being?
It's very problematic and it's very dangerous because you're now conflating victims and heroes and what should be allowed in society. You should want someone to intervene if someone needs help. You should also say that you literally just should not be able to choke someone to death, even if it's unintentional, and have no consequences at all. Not the worst consequences, but no consequences. There is no one who's going to say that Jordan Neely wasn't failed every step of the way. But that's not what we're lifting up here.
How do we, as New Yorkers and as Americans, begin to address the other systemic failures that affected Jordan Neely and brought him to this point? What can we do?
One, I think we have to try to make sure we say and not or. And I think people have trouble doing that. And so it is clear that Daniel Penny may have not meant to do this, and he did. And if we had taken care of what Jordan Neely needed through many times in his life, we would not have gotten to this point. So perhaps instead of bringing Daniel Penny to a football game, we can come and discuss what resources New York City needs to address the chronically homeless and chronically mentally ill.
This is a classic example why nobody respects the legacy news, the fake news, because I mean, you got stuff like this is always narrative driven. There's always some sort of like motive or goal that's outside of what reality actually is. It would make sense if everything was just pointing in a specific direction, but when you have to kind of concoct and make stuff up and twist things around to fit some sort of narrative, then it really just, one, doesn't work, and two, just pisses people off, and three, it turns people against you. Nobody believes all this crying racism all the time. It's like crying wolf, except in this case it's crying racism and crying hatred and bigotry like they do with Donald Trump as well all the time, even though he clearly has millions of supporters that are people of color, black people, every different race, religion, any type of creed or demographic you could think of. Trump's got it. Van Jones understands this much better than a lot of other people. These people are in so disbelief, it's because they're stupid. They don't realize that the Teflon Don is just smarter than them. Even Van Jones realizes it.
How the hell did Donald Trump figure out the mainstream media is the fringe and the fringe is now the mainstream? How the hell did Donald Trump figure out? I mean, Joe Rogan is obvious, right? Like, we knew the guy had a big audience. It's not like we were like stunned, but like, how the hell was he, the 78-year-old guy who doesn't even have a computer and still like writes handwritten notes? How did he become the guy who cracked the code on, to your point, running a cultural, I don't even want to say campaign, running
it was the movement.
Look, heading a cultural movement versus a campaign.
Every one of your people knows Elon. Listen. So everybody keeps, I mean, the problem is you have a framework in your mind that how can Donald Trump? Guys, can we cut it out? Donald Trump is not an idiot. Donald Trump, let me just be very clear. Donald Trump is smarter than me, you, and all critics. You know why we know? Because he has the White House, the Senate, the House.
Totally agree.
The popular vote. He has a massive media ecosystem bigger than the mainstream built around him and for him, and a religious fervor in a political movement around him. And his best buddy is the richest person in the history of the world, and the most relevant Kennedy is with him. This dude is a phenomenon. He is the most powerful human on earth and in our lifetime, and we're still saying, well, how was this guy? We look like idiots to ordinary.
You're totally right.
This is why we continue to win, guys. We got to have these revolutionaries, these people who are willing to go out there and get shot at and still go out there again like, hey, we ain't never going to stop. We're going to get right back up and keep it going. That Trump train was coming. We got the red wave, and now we're about a month away from making America great again, guys. So we still got to survive through the rest of this Biden administration. And, oh, it is pretty dang bad. It is terrible. But with Donald Trump at the helm, I think we're going to do it. So this was a joyous weekend. I hope everybody enjoyed this video. If you did, you know what to do. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. I appreciate y'all watching the Black Anomaly Rising channel. I'm out.